All right, we'll be starting in just a moment with our probation violation matters. We've got some other things to deal with at 2:30 and 3 o'clock. Hello again, Matt.
I'm back.
Yes, thank you. Had a short lunch, worked through most of it.
Mm-hmm. I anticipate all of mine showing up. We'll see.
You think Mr. Cannon's going to show up?
He showed up. Oh no, did we get him in custody? I don't remember how we got him back last time.
Yeah,
he
he's
showed up.
not. Okay, well, we'll see. No one's here now except Mr. Motika.
Hermann just called me, Heisman. I'm gonna call him back, see if I can get
Remember
him.
what a hard time he had? I told him just walk across the street, but then he told me he was somewhere else. I told him to turn himself in.
Caller ID says Waterville, so we'll find out.
All right. Go ahead. Hello, Daniel.
Our afternoon.
Yeah, it is afternoon, isn't it? How'd that happen?
Seems to be slipping away.
I'm not sure Mr. Jennings is going to show up.
Yeah, I'm not either. I was just seeing if there's any changes, making sure there's no changes out seeing.
Good afternoon, Deborah.
Hi, I was like, I feel like Matt's talking, but I don't see him on mute, so I was very.
Matt, he's checking in with Mr. Heisman, who.
I have my microphone on mute.
Gotcha. So tricky. They haven't given us those yet from IT.
I had to bring it.
He's a techie guy.
Yeah, because he's muted without being muted. And Christine has joined us.
Sorry about that.
No need to apologize. You've had a very busy morning.
Yep, I did.
We've got 4 cases set. At this point, only one defendant is here, which would be Mr. Motika. Tim George is counsel in John Jennings. We have to see him. Christine has Mr. Heisman and Mr. Motika. And John Bush has Gary Cannon. Let's bring Mr. Motika in. I'll turn the record on. This is file 201819 SD, People versus James Kevin Motika. Mr. Motika goes by Kevin. He is here. He was convicted of an operating while intoxicated. There was some jail time ordered, which is yet to be served. The defendant got subsequent convictions after this, and I think he had one pending at the time of our charge. He has some health problems, and there was a question of what Kalamazoo was going to do with him on his newest charge. He's represented, as he has been from the outset, by attorney Christine Yancey. Let's start with you, Matt. What's the status here?
Not much has changed from the last time we had the arraignment with Mr. Motika, but to bring the court up to speed, or I guess reply or give a refresher here, he was sentenced on the offense stemming from an incident on February 21st of this year while he was actively on probation. He had just been placed on probation. That offense took place in Kalamazoo County. He's now, I believe, participating in mental health treatment court in Kalamazoo County. I don't know much else about Mr. Motika's current status as far as treatment or as far as anything like that, as I haven't had anybody reach out on the Kalamazoo Mental Health Recovery Treatment Court team, but I presume he is actively participating in the treatment court in Kalamazoo County.
All right. This is the time and date for a probation violation hearing where there would be testimony taken. The allegation is that the defendant essentially violated his probation by getting arrested on a new drunk driving charge in Kalamazoo. He had been sentenced on a negligent driving causing a serious impairment. in Cass County, but I believe that conduct preceded this case. And so he also was ordered to do 9 days of jail, but he's yet to do any of that. So Christine, are we going to have a hearing here, or are your defendant going to acknowledge violating the probation by the subsequent conviction?
Well, Your Honor, I was going to ask, Your Honor, if you would consider an admission with a sentencing to a later date. He is actively engaged in that mental health treatment court in Kalamazoo.
I would
And
consider that, but he's got to do my 9 days. He's skating. He was on bond on the Cass County case. He was involved in our incident where he's driving a semi with a very high blood alcohol level and he hit another car. And then he subsequently got arrested in Kalamazoo. He got a gift by the Kalamazoo treatment court, but he needs some consequence. I ordered 9 days and he's yet to do that. So I would consider deferring the rest of it, but he at least owes the upfront jail time I gave him. It'd be very easy to give him the maximum allowable jail sentence. I am pleased that he's now doing some of this stuff, but he's really yet to have much consequence for our very serious incident. So that's what my thinking is to.
Your Honor, would you consider the recommendation by the agent of it being on a weekend so it didn't interfere with his treatment program?
I can live with that. He's also got health problems. Do you wish to talk to him?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Heisman, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, your lawyer just went into a breakout room with another client.
Okay.
And she'll be with you in a moment. So I'm gonna put you in the waiting room. We're getting a lot of background noise from your feed here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And Tim George has joined us. Good afternoon, Tim. This is the time and date set for a probation violation hearing on the matter of John A. Jennings. File number is 202608. Daniel Frazine is his probation agent. The petition alleged he was charged with aggravated domestic violence, failed to report, failed to pay fines, costs, and oversight fees, failed to participate in treatment, and failed to do the domestic violence treatment. So he kind of been off the grid for a while. We got him in here, and he pled not guilty to the probation violation, and we set the matter for hearing. He called in, when was that? June 16th. He called in, said he did some treatment, got back on dope, meth, and marijuana, pled not guilty, and set the matter for a PV today at 1, and he's not here. Have you had any contact with this client?
Your Honor, I have not. Our office sent notice to the last address he had on file with the court, and that was returned to us. We sent that out on June 22nd, and it was returned to us. So we don't have an accurate address for him, and obviously we haven't had any telephone contact either.
Oh, I told him the time and date live and in person. But Daniel, have you had any contact with him?
I spoke to him right after the arraignment. He was short, choppy, sounded high, said he'd obviously fallen off the wagon. Then I spoke to him on the 22nd, trying to get him involved in stuff. He said he would do 40 days, but he's not going to do a year. He's looking at firing his shrink. basically he's just a hot mess, and I don't think he's really able to. I don't even think he really wants to do treatment, but he says he just fell off and he's doing drugs every single day.
I'm gonna do a bench warrant. For fail to appear. No 48-hour hold. No bond. See judge. This is an aggravated domestic violence. He's just off the rails with a big relapse. He's down at Elkhart somewhere. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in jail somewhere else in Indiana. Deborah, can you check that from your sources?
Yep, I will check that real quick. Yeah. Looks like he's got a warrant from Elkhart. Filed 4/8 of 21, criminal mischief. Misdemeanor at least. And he still has a pending driving suspended case, Lake Superior Court.
All right, well, now he's got a warrant for us. Tim, really, that wasn't much you could do here. We gave him the time and date. He knows about it. The address we had was the South Monroe, Apartment E. Then we had a Crew Street address, and I don't know where he is. But he isn't here, so we'll issue a bench warrant for him. May be some time before he's picked up. I suspect Indiana will get him before we do. So thank you for being here. You're good to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thanks, Your Honor. That should be it.
All right. I'll bring Mr. Heisman back in so he can watch us. All right, we return to the matter of J. Kevin Motika, file 201819. This is the time and date set for a hearing in this operating while intoxicated case. His probation officer, Matthew Huff, is here, and his attorney, Christine Yancey. Also, Deborah Davis from the prosecutor's office. Ms. Yancey, what's the status here?
Your Honor, he will make an admission today.
Mr. Motika, I went through some of this with you. In fact, I went through all of this with you at your arraignment. Can you hear me?
Yes, there's some. I've got the audio all the way up. My computer is just really low for some reason.
All right, I'll try to speak up. Anyway, you have a right to have a hearing on this, and that hearing was set for this afternoon. I would put Mr. Huff under oath and perhaps take other testimony about the allegation that you violated your probation by getting a new arrest for the same charge. But your lawyer indicates you're willing to admit that you violated your probation by A, drinking, and B, getting arrested again for operating while intoxicated. I made some representations here on the matter about on a record about what my intentions are. Other than that, did anyone promise you anything about this?
Absolutely not, Your Honor.
Or threaten you?
No, sir.
All right. Did you get, let me look at the date of this. It was about 45 days later, but Matt, 2/21 of 21, did you get another arrest for drunk driving in Kalamazoo County?
Yes, Your Honor.
Matthew, what's your thought?
Well, this is a very complicated case. I think there's no doubt in my mind Mr. Motika suffers from some mental illness that needs to be addressed, and it certainly carries over into his substance abuse issues. And I think they're interweaved very, very deeply. That being said, as you had already stated on the record, this is a serious case. This is a case where he was driving a loaded semi, hits a vehicle. He's driving pretty intoxicated. That's his true second at that point. And then within a couple of months of being on probation, he picks up a true third offense. So this is very serious. That's why my recommendation I had that he served the original 9, but then some more jail. I'm not opposed to the what Miss Yancey had proposed as far as that maybe we just make him do the original 9, and then pending his successful discharge from the Kalamazoo Mental Health Recovery Court, we can decide whether or not he needs additional jail on this case in St. Joseph County.
Ms. Davis, do you have an opinion on this?
Well, I agree with Matt in that it is very serious, and clearly the issues that are going on with Mr. Motika are significant. I'm a little concerned that we don't have any updated reports. I looked at the 8th District Register of Actions, and there's really not much to look at. I mean, basically, he was put on this 12-month probation, and I don't know if he's benefiting from the treatment. So I'd like to hear maybe some updates on that. I think that at the very least, the 9 days that he was supposed to serve, perhaps if he would have served those, he wouldn't have been on the road and drinking. If he would have seen what it was like in jail and decided he didn't want to be there. It's very upsetting that he continues to do this and has nearly killed people. And we're lucky that everybody is still here to tell their story from his accidents. So he's got a lot of tickets in his past too. I mean, speeding, being overweight on the semi-loads. He's not a safe driver, and adding alcohol to the mix is not good. So I'd ask the court to consider going a little above the original 9 days, since those were contemplated before he went and did a serious violation. This isn't just like a minor thing. This is another drinking and driving. And I think that there should be some severe consequence. Thank you.
Mr. Motika, what are you doing in this program in Kalamazoo?
I'm drug testing once a week, sir. I'm going to 2 group sessions a week and 1 to 2 one-on-one sessions a week with either Miss Lawson or Doug Doherty from the Office of Community Corrections. I believe my number is 38 or 39 counseling sessions, treatment sessions I've had so far under the treatment court. I'm still continuing to see my Lansing Institute of Behavioral Health doctor up in Lansing, Michigan. And every 2 weeks I appear before Judge Hemingway at the mental health court in Kalamazoo to do a case review on the status. So twice a month I'm in front of Judge Hemingway with the counselors and everybody involved in Kalamazoo County, giving updates. And there were emails, and I apologize to the prosecutor, there were emails being exchanged between the counselors talking about sending reports down here to Mr. Huff and other people on the status. Why they didn't get sent, I don't know, but I could forward you the emails where they're talking about sending them 2 weeks ago to make sure you
Well,
have.
well, I'm not sure if we have a release.
We do have a release, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Yeah, there's some consequence at some point you've got some mental health issues, but you're always very appropriate when I talk to you. You seem intelligent, but there's this other side of you that I don't see with a very, very bad alcohol addiction. And you didn't, don't even think you even had a CDL. You're driving this semi full of milk, or I don't remember what was in it, with a very high blood alcohol level while you were on bond out of Cass County for another accident, which was a felony. What's the status of the Cass County case?
It's resolved. I'm on probation with probation officer Tidy, and I report once a month with her, sir. But my fines have been paid off in Cass County. My fines have been paid off in St. Joseph County. And I was driving on a farm endorsement at the time. CDL wasn't required, Your Honor.
I'm not sure about that, but I guess I'll take your word for it. You're the only guy I know that's on 3 separate county probations right now. I'm going to order 9 days jail to be scheduled by the probation department. Your probation is continued. To monitor progress in Kalamazoo County Treatment Court. We had serious discussions about putting you in our sobriety court. There were a couple of issues. One, you didn't live in St. Joe County. We've gotten over that hump before. The other concern was you had another case pending and some medical or health issues. In hindsight, I wish we'd have gotten you in a treatment program before you got your next DUI. But I don't remember the additional reasons why you weren't put in our sobriety court. I think it meant primarily license issues and the fact that you didn't reside here. At any rate, your probation is continued to monitor your progress in Kalamazoo County. Sentence is deferred. Additional, I'll just leave it at this. You're still on probation. Well, no. Additional sentences deferred. Until December 20th at 11. We'll set this for a sentence on the remainder and see how you're doing between now and the end of the year. You've been ordered to do the original 9 days, which we should have accomplished already. So you didn't really get any more than you already got in the first place, but you're in this treatment program and I don't want to pull the wheels off of that. So you're still on probation to Matt. You're still on probation in Cass County. You're still on probation in Kalamazoo County. But you're doing some things that you need to be doing. All right, Matt, you know how to contact him?
I do, Your Honor.
We'll get that jail time scheduled starting this weekend. Might as well get at it. All right, you're good to, yes?
The sentencing date again,
December 20, that's a Monday.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're good to go, sir. All right, Mr. Heisman is back with us. This is Hermann Heisman. The file number is 192482. Mr. Heisman was placed on probation on a methamphetamine charged with failing to report on a monthly basis and failing to pay fine costs and oversight fees. He sort of fell off the map. He got picked up on a bench warrant I held on to him for a couple days and let him out and set the matter for the PV hearing. We kind of lost him. I don't know where he was. I'm not sure where he is today. He did live right here in Centerville.
I still reside in Centerville.
All right. Anyway, the original probation violation alleges that you failed to report on a monthly basis, failed to pay costs and oversight fees. Ms. Yancey, do you wish to talk to this client also?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me close the other rooms out. There's a way to do it, but I can barely do one at a time. Mr. Heisman, I'm going to ask you to join the breakout room with Miss Yancey.
Okay.
Join it. Mr. Cannon, your matter is set at 1:30, and we expect Mr. Bush to be here in a moment. So we'll come back to your case here shortly, all right? I'll put you in the waiting room. Debbie, are you covering the competency hearing on Waterman?
I believe that Casey's doing that because they gave
Are
the
you-
reports to him.
Are you doing the motion on that detainer case?
Was not.
Guadalupe Villaforte Ferrar.
I'll have to look at it.
Except for
That's
3
three,
o'clock.
right?
Yeah, Cannon is yours too, Matt, so we'll deal with him in a minute. I'm
Yeah, I've
glad
got
he's
it.
here.
Matt, did you have a conversation with him about continuing probation?
I had a conversation with him kind of saying that we would consider it should he get on the right track and
Okay.
get things accomplished.
Okay, because that's what he would like to do, so.
All right, I gotta wait 54 seconds unless he figures out how to get out.
There he did. I think it's harder to figure it out when you're on your phone than it is when you're on a laptop.
He's here with us. Good afternoon, Mr. Bush.
Hi, Your Honor.
Mr. Cannon is in the waiting room. Would you like to talk to him before we begin?
Yeah, I've not talked to him since February, Your Honor. So,
All right, let me bring him in and I'll put you guys in a breakout room. And then we'll conduct the business we're working on. Mr. Cannon, could you unmute your mic? I'm going to put you in a room with your lawyer, Mr. Bush, so he can kind of get updated on what's going on with you. Will you unmute your mic? Mr. Cannon, can you unmute your mic? He was connected. There we go. I'm going to put you in a breakout room with your attorney. All right, then we return to the matter of People versus Hermann Heisman. He's present. This is file 192482. Mr. Heisman was placed on probation on a possession of methamphetamine. The matter was reduced from a felony. We have literally dozens and dozens of these use of methamphetamine cases each year, and many of them are on probation. And many of them don't do well like this. We have a very large struggle with success on our use of methamphetamine probations. Mr. Heisman has been hot and cold about what's going on here. I had a couple of good conversations with him in June, let him out of jail and set the matter for hearing today. The allegation here is that you were placed on probation on October 6th of 2020 for 24 months on a possession of on a use of methamphetamine. And the allegation from your probation agent, Matthew Huff, is that you failed to report on a monthly basis, failed to pay fines, costs, and oversight fees. Essentially, we just lost track of you sometime over the winter. You got picked up in the spring, and then you got out, and then you got picked up again in June, and I gave you 2 days for failing to appear, set the matter for probation violation hearing today. Your attorney, Ms. Hansey, says you're going to admit to violating the probation by failing to report, and I'm less concerned about failing to pay. Is that true, Mr. Heisman?
Yes, sir.
And I told you before, you have the right to have a hearing where testimony must be taken, and by preponderance of evidence establish that there was a violation of your probation. You also have a right to an attorney, and your original attorney, Ms. Yancey, is here. Are you going to acknowledge that you stopped reporting last winter and quit contacting your probation agent?
You're correct.
What happened?
Excuse me. I got scared. When I went to report to them, and I called the felony one instead of the misdemeanor, and they were giving me phone numbers to report to my probation officer, and my probation officer wasn't on there. And basically, I just got scared, and I didn't call from I think it was March and April, and maybe May.
Well, you and I, as I mentioned, have had some discussions. Where are you now? In Centerville or in Watervliet?
I'm not in Centerville at the moment. I'm on the line of Sturgis in Indiana. I had to help my brother move his stuff out of his place.
Matt, what's your thought here?
Well, my thought was I had a very specific conversation with Herman about what he needed to do in order to get his probation going. And one of the biggest parts was to get engaged with CMH and to be making his regular treatments. I haven't heard from CMH as to whether or not Mr. Heisman has actually gotten that going, or if he's just continuing on the way that this probation started since November of last year, where we have a conversation and then we don't really get anywhere. Should he be doing all the things? I suppose we don't have much to lose if we give him one more shot at this. I don't think that he necessarily has done anything to merit another shot at this probation. But nevertheless, I guess that's how I feel.
Well, he's done a lot of talking, but he hasn't done a lot of walking. It's all show and all blow and no show. So, Mr. Heisman, what's your intention? Do you really want to do this probation?
Yes, I do. I really do, sir. I really, really do. I don't want to go to jail. I know they look good on me right now. Okay. And that's all my fault. I understand that. But I with all intentions, I want to do this.
All right. Well, so what have you actually done?
I talked to my CMH. That's really, I'm staying off drugs.
All right. Well, who have you talked to at CMH?
I forgot. Kaylee or Mandy. I can't ever remember her name. But
you're really quite well plugged in. When did you last talk to anybody at CMH?
After I got out of jail last time, the Monday Monday after that.
All right, I let you out in middle of June. Did you? And I told you to contact CMH. Did you do that?
Right. Yes, I did.
All right. So what are they doing?
We set up a meeting and I spoke to them, and then they set up another meeting for a week and a half ago, and they canceled on me because I'm not sure. They didn't give me a reason. They just said that they couldn't do it, and they rescheduled me for Wednesday tomorrow at 11.
Do we have a release, Matt?
I believe so. Yes.
All right, as Matt said, we don't have all that much to lose if we try again, but at some point, it becomes a matter of diminishing returns. You talk a good game, and I do believe you really want to get situated. Where are you now? It looks like you're in a bathroom of a motel.
I'm in a bathroom, yes, but because my brother's girlfriend has her baby, and remember when you were hearing stuff earlier, they were trying to calm down with the TV. So I'm in the bathroom.
All right. Do you still have your place here in Centerville?
Yes, I do.
How often are you actually there?
I'm there more often than not. I'm usually staying there. I'm sorry.
That makes CMH just right down the street.
Right, but I have to go to Three Rivers. If I were to go see him in live, I'd have to go to Three Rivers because it's substance abuse.
All right. Well, I want you to do that.
Okay.
All right. Defendant admits the violation. I'm going to continue the probation. I already did 2 days for failing to appear. I'm just going to show the admitted it. All conditions remain in effect. When's the last time you drug tested?
I have when I first got on probation.
Well, how about if you go test today?
I can try to get there.
Matt, what's your thought regarding that?
My thought is I would bet that he's going to test positive. I don't know that we'll be able to get him in before 3:45 or whenever the latest the DRC.
We'll have him
opens.
test tomorrow.
If he continues on probation, he's going to be testing fairly
A lot
consistently.
more than never.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
All right. You're gonna have to pay for it. Well, he's in treatment. So is this one we're covering?
It should be covered. That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, I already gave you 2 days. You're still on probation. You're to report to the Day Reporting Center for testing tomorrow. You're to sign a release or make sure you have the release from community mental health and keep that appointment tomorrow, starting your treatment. Now, we might as well just, what are you gonna be positive for tomorrow? Marijuana
Maybe.
and meth?
I doubt it. I don't do meth at all.
All right, well, you can't smoke weed either, so,
I understand that.
and you can't drink. When you say I doubt it, so it means you're not sure. It means meth's still out there in the background. We need to get a handle on this and get you
Yes.
either in treatment and on probation or just get out of the whole enterprise altogether. And
Actually, Your Honor, I have a question. Do you have like access to like more like that I can get access to groups and stuff?
absolutely.
Because I would like to like,
You can go to an AA group for free.
okay, can I, excuse me, can I just talk up with my probation officer and he can help me?
Yeah,
to-
we got
What was
AA
that?
all over the place. You can walk down the street to the church here in Centerville and do AA.
Okay.
NA is available, and Matt can tell you when and where those are.
Thank you.
And there should also be some treatment groups through CMH if we could ever get you in through the door.
Okay.
All right, you're good to go.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Christine. I think that finishes our business.
Does, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, now we've got Mr. Gary Cannon and Mr. John Bush. This is file number 20-36, People versus Gary Duane Cannon. That you, sir? Mr. Cannon, we've got to get your microphone turned on. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me bring in this other guy for a moment. Mr. Waterman, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Waterman. This is Judge Middleton. Your hearing is today, but it's not until 2:30. So you're about 45 minutes early, which is fine. I can put you in the waiting room, but it's going to burn up your phone's battery. So how about if you log back in about 2:25, okay?
All right.
Same number, just come back about 2:25.
All right. Thank you.
I'll see you then.
See you.
Okay. All right, that's our competency hearing. We have a little later. All right, in Gary Duane Cannon's case, his probation agent Matthew Huff filed a probation violation petition alleging that he failed to report as directed and failed to abstain from the use of intoxicants and/or submit to testing as directed. Mr. Cannon also had been off the radar. he was sentenced way back in February of 2020. And we lost track of him until May of 2021. He had an arraignment on these charges and pled not guilty, and the matter was set for hearing here today. Let me get to that report. Probation Officer Matthew Huff is here. The status report says Mr. Cannon was set to test on 2/18. He was unable to test due to lack of funds. Sent a text the next day, scheduled for probation intake. He failed to appear. Basically just dropped off the map shortly after he was placed on probation. He came back into our purview when he got arrested here recently on this case. Mr. Bush, what's the defendant's desire regarding the allegations in the probation violation petition?
He is prepared to admit to the violations. He wants to tell the court about his efforts to get in contact and what he's done with an assessment of community mental health. And he's asking the court, even though this is an old case, to give him a chance to complete the probation.
All right, Mr. Cannon. I told you about your rights at a probation violation hearing. First of all, you have a right to have an attorney. Mr. Bush is here with you. You have a right not to a jury trial, but you have a right to a hearing before a judge where it must be shown beyond a preponderance of evidence that you violated the conditions of your probation. You can also waive that and admit to the violation, and then we won't have the hearing here this afternoon. Do you understand?
Thank you.
Do you understand?
I didn't hear, sir. I had a call coming in.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you admit that you violated your probation by failing to report and continuing to use?
Yes, sir.
And you've been off the grid since February of 20.
Yes, sir.
All right. Matt, what's your proposal here?
Well, I haven't had much contact with Mr. Cannon since the probation violation arraignment. The same thing with Mr. Heisman, I suppose, would have still been on the table. I don't know if Mr. Cannon's been engaged in treatment. I don't know much of what's going on between the last time we had him in court and now. I'm a little bit more disappointed with how this probation has gone through. As you can tell, it didn't even take off back in the beginning of last year. I don't think there's a valid excuse at all to just not report for an entire year when you were put on a 2-year probation. So I think I know he's willing to accept that or to enter a plea that he did violate those, but my outlook is not very positive, given that I don't have any reason to believe that Mr. Cannon is doing the things that he's supposed to right now.
Well, Mr. Cannon, what do you want to tell me?
Yeah, during that whole COVID thing or whatever, like I was pulled over, and like they just said you're good to go. So
I can't hear you, Gary. We don't have a very good connection. You've got headphones on, and I'm not sure if that helps or hinders.
After during the whole probation thing, I was pulled over and they just said I was released to go, so I didn't know what was going on because of the whole COVID thing. And last time I was put on probation, I completed it with the probation center. So I can do this, sir, if you give me a chance. I called the drug assessment thing, and they said that I have an appointment next week on the 14th to go in at 2:30.
Deborah, what's your thought?
He doesn't have a very long criminal history, but a pretty significant charge where it was operating under the influence causing death. And that was in 2010. But addiction doesn't just go away. Substances may be different than what he was maybe struggling with then. But it is very concerning that he hasn't been testing, hasn't been reporting, and he's just been kind of gone for a year. So I think there were 90 days that were reserved. I would ask the court to impose the reserved time. As I guess it was contemplated at the beginning when he was put on the probation, and he hasn't really done anything that the probation officer asked him to do. Thank you.
That's been a common theme all today and all this week. Mr. Bush, anything you wish to add?
I would just point out to the court that I don't know that we should give up. Apparently he had, from my understanding, a telephone assessment, and he is scheduled to go face-to-face to community mental health on July 14th. It's been an awkward last 12 months with COVID. That's not an excuse, but this has been unlike any other time. I guess a positive is we're not aware of any new arrest warrants or any new criminal charges against him. Addictions are difficult. I'm not sure if you give him 90 days in jail, that's going to fix him. There's the possibility if he has a shot at doing these services, maybe he can get the skills to change his life.
All right. We're going to treat this as a technical violation. It's really more than that. In the old days, we probably would have just done the 91 days in jail. You're like the previous guy. You're all blow and no show. You talk about what you want to do, and now that you've got the sword hanging over your head, you've made an appointment. But you did a very, very poor job as probation. You just never got engaged. So rather than do the 90 days, you get 5 days jail as the first technical violation. It's going to start at 7 p.m. tomorrow, July 8th. Where are you living?
And my mom's here. 30.
At lot 132?
Yes.
All right. Well, you're going to get 5 days in jail for ignoring the terms of your probation as a technical violation under some of the new legislation. You're still on probation. You also have to sign a release from CMH. I'm not going to test you because you're going to jail tomorrow. But we're going to start testing you. We never even got started because you never showed up. You just went AWOL. One of the conditions of this probation is you not use any drugs or alcohol, and then you test as prescribed. And we can pay for the testing if you're in treatment. So you got to wake up from slumberland. You're on probation. And as a probation, you got to stop using drugs. You got to go to treatment, and you got to test. Otherwise, I don't just have 91 days to give you. I can give you 365 days on the original charge. So it's time for some show and no more blow. You're going to be actually on a probation. If we don't get off the dime on this one, I'm just going to put you in jail. You can be a trustee and get out about Christmas time. So you need to report to the jail tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, then you need to be in contact with Matt, and you need to keep that appointment at CMH next week. All right, Mr. Cannon, you're free to go. Oh, first of all, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, Matt will be in contact, or you need to contact him tomorrow. You contact Matt tomorrow. We'll put the onus on you, and then you report to the jail tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
All right. Deborah, John, and Matt, these are the kinds of things we're going to start doing in person. These probation violation hearings are either going to, in person could entail just you guys being where you are, but the defendant being here at the courthouse. in the conference room. And I probably should have done these all that way. But as Matt says, all we can do is fail. We can give it a try. Okay, thank you all for your time and attention. We will come back with our competency hearing at 2:30 and then our somewhat complicated motion at 3 o'clock.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks.
What is our track record on people showing up when you've required them? I'm just curious how many of them aren't showing up. Is
Well,
that
this
okay?
guy's already on probation. I would say most of them show up, 80% maybe. But as we're in this Zoom environment, nobody shows up for anything. So hopefully they'll all do what they've been ordered to do. If they don't, then they're subject to further contempt and probation violation. All right, I'll see you later on the
See you
one later.
shortly.